Well, Smallville then, season 1, episode 5. It's called Cool.
Do you know what I want to say first about this?
Mm-hmm.
This is the first episode where a song would have been the right thing to do, and I feel like they skipped out on their budget and didn't get the appropriate songs for the ending.
What was the ending again? Remind me.
It wasn't Radiohead, and that's the problem.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it should have been Radiohead.
I was convinced it was going to be Radiohead.
Because we were talking about Radiohead all episode, and then there was no
and
Radiohead.
Then they don't use Radiohead at all. What are they playing at? Who blew the music budget for this episode? Oh my god, I can't speak. I don't know what just happened there.
This is refreshing. It's usually me that's screwing up, but I'm trying to read the news on the news video, so I'm actually quite happy to see you struggle with language.
That was pretty rough.
Delightful.
Oh boy.
But no, so no points for guessing what sort of power the villain has in this one, with the title being Cool.
No, it's pretty clear.
He has freeze powers. He sucks the heat out of things because he needs to fix. It's basically a drug, like, message episode.
I think I appreciate at least the fact that it's not just, hey, this guy makes things cold. At least there's something built. There's something built into it. There's mechanics to this power.
I suppose. I mean, basically all that happens is he goes in the lake and there's kryptonite. That's it.
Yeah, not into getting the power, but most of them, they just have this now. Okay, I have heat powers now. There's drawbacks with this one.
Okay, but yeah, so there's a bit of an anti-drug thing because he just fixed, but there's also a bit of sexual assault stuff going on as well because he's basically killing up girls to steal their body heat, and it's kind of like a weird mixed message, kind of rapey thing going on.
It is. It's very unclear as well as to the way they portray the message, especially when you have someone like Pete kind of defending him.
Yeah, it's kind of murky in that. I feel like there's not actually a message. I feel like there's stuff there they could have made a message out of.
There's themes, but no message.
Yeah. And it was funny though. So a lot of this episode is that the guy before he gets powers is like, kind of get the hots for Chloe, and he's kind of chatting her up, and she kind of gives him her number, and Clark's all protective and like, oh, why are you giving?
He's a dog, which he says like 4 times.
Yeah. It's very. He's been kind of overprotective. It's her choice to make these mistakes, or if it is a mistake, and so on. Here's the thing, though, is every time they made a date, and she's like, "Hey, I'm not skinny dipping with you," all I could think in my head is, "You run a sex cult."
Well, that's a good point.
Like, this episode was specifically about her dating guys, so I could not, even more than normal, I was thinking sex cult the entire time.
Yeah. It's just there. It's just ever present, isn't it?
Yeah. Sex cult is. So Chloe's a bit more important to this episode, at least, though she has more to do. Of course, the episode's actually way more interested in the will they, won't they, while Clark and Lana go on this date, which Lex is playing matchmaker. Lex is like, hey Lana, you're not with the right guy, just casually in the coffee shop. And then, hey Clark, she's got plans free the next night. I've got Radiohead tickets. I'll throw in a limo ride if you go and ask her out in the next minute.
I love how blunt Lex is to Lana.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that.
He's like, Whitney's a dick. And do you know the thing is, though, can I just put this in context? He's a mid-20-something talking to a 16-year-old girl saying, you're not with the right guy. Yeah. Am I the only one who feels that's a really creepy thing for someone his age to say to a girl that age?
No, it's weird. At least with Clark, they just, because Clark calls him out on him. He's like, why are you doing this? And he's like, I think, you're kind of like a younger brother that I didn't have. I'm like, okay, at least there's some pretense here.
Yeah. Here's my problem with this plot. Now, the Clark Lana stuff has never been good. Of course not. We have torn it to shreds repeatedly. What really bugs me in this episode, though, so he's like, oh, just as friends, let's just go. Now, first of all, the fact that you have to say just as friends already makes it awkward, because you're implying that there's a possibility she would think it wouldn't be, right? That's number one.
Yep.
I'll forgive it to a point, because almost all TV shows would make that mistake.
No, that's fair. It's not exclusive to that one.
However, when they actually go on said kind of date, and they're in the limo, all they do is talk about how everyone else thinks it's a date and how this is definitely not a date. It's fun here being with you as a friend, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It's cool we're not on a date. It's cool. Right. See when you go out with a platonic friend of the opposite sex, what's the one thing you don't do the entire time when you're out with said friend? Well, you're getting some food, maybe you're seeing a movie, whatever, you're doing normal friend things. You don't sit and talk about, hey, isn't it fun? People might think this is a date. Oh, this is totally not a date.
I know, it's so strange.
That conversation in the limo was driving me insane. I hate, it's like I get the whole thing is just they're kind of like torny teenagers and they can't admit how they really feel, but seriously, every single line of dialogue was screaming, yeah, we actually have feelings for each other, but we're too stupid to actually say anything about them. That was the entire thing, the entire time, and it was just
so frustrating.
It was grating, and then you've got both of them being horrible actors, which does not help at all.
It doesn't, no.
Oh, God. Imagine how awkward it is, though. You get with a female friend, right? You know, just good from our perspective, because we're both guys. Get with a lady friend, completely platonic, and then 5 minutes into, you know, getting pizza, whatever you're doing, you go, man, isn't it great that we can do this and it's not a date? And then just watch the mood tank as she's like, why did you say that?
I know.
Because it's not a date? But why would you even bring up that it could be a date? Like,
I know. And then
imagine it in a real world context. Just imagine saying that when you're out with a friend.
I know, and you got Clark going, oh, I had spent the whole day convincing everyone this isn't a date. And then he's like, so, hey, what did Whitney say?
Oh, I didn't tell him.
Yeah, that doesn't seem suspicious, does it?
Oh my God,
I believe her excuse consistently was, he's hanging out with his friends, I'm with mine.
In a limo.
Yeah, but you know he's with his friends. And then he comes along later, and you're like, oh, I'm just reading. And he's like, you're a bit dressed up for that, aren't you? She's like, yeah, it's cool, I'm just reading. And then offers the limo to Pete, and he's like, why did you have a limo? Pretty good question.
That's a pretty good question. Also, why does Pete say, oh, she's not my girlfriend, she's just a friend? I'm like, and then but then when he puts his arm around her, it's like clearly that is like a date. And I'm like, why even do that with this small moment? It doesn't matter. Like, we don't know who this person is. We don't care.
No one cares. You're on a date. Go for it.
Whatever. Yeah, sure, Pete, go on a date. It's fine. Oh my God, the way this handles the teen romance is actually hurting my brain.
No, it is. It's pretty atrocious.
I mean, teenagers can be stupid. They say stupid things. I'm sure we both said stupid things at certain points. Bullshit. Bullshit. I would put money on you making some gingerbread man pun.
I've never done that in my life.
You're like, hey, do you like ginger?
No, I've never done that in my life. I refuse to stoop to that level.
You've done it. I know
I've
you
not
have.
done that.
These
I'm
are lies.
insulted that you think I would make such an awful pun.
You would. You absolutely would.
I would do much better than that, thank you very much.
So yeah, mine not me. And at the end, then the cold guy was sucking heat out of things, and then there's a subplot where the Kents are struggling with money, and Lex tries to do a partnership so that they can be good with money, and it's, you know, obviously Jonathan's all against it. He's like, yeah, I'd never take, you know, charity from a Luther. He's like, not charity, it's a business proposition, but he doesn't trust them, and he feels all weird about it. And
yeah, that's fine. It's not good, but it's not bad.
Oh no, I mean, it's better than the relationship bullshit.
Yeah, it's kind of just neutral, that stuff. I'm like, I'm indifferent on this plot. It's better by its nature of they're all better actors.
Mm-hmm.
And they're exclusively together. They're not with all the other shit actors, so it's just easier to watch.
You know, Connor, isn't it nice we can do this and it doesn't feel like it's a date?
It is, yeah. Why would anyone think it is?
I know, I need to tell people all the time.
Oh no.
Nothing romantic going on, I'll just tell them a TV show, it's fine.
Oh, it's weird, isn't it?
I hate this show so much.
Well, at least you don't have to watch any next week.
That's true, we get a bit of a break, we're back to regular shows.
Yes, the regular scheduled content has returned.
Arrow might feel like a completely new show after watching a few of this.
I feel like, how usually I drink for Arrow and we make a drinking game out of it. I feel like we need to set one up for the next time we get Smallville going and Arrow's on a break. I feel like we can have some fun with that.
I thought you were happy your liver was healing whilst it was off.
It's been 6 weeks. It's fine.
Oh my god! Honestly, this is probably the quickest we've spoken about one of these episodes, but there's really, like, it is boiled down to that stupid romance plot. I mean, Pete's still kind of just there.
Yeah. He's defending the dick.
Yeah. At the end of the episode, Clark's like, "Hey, you weren't there when I came," because Clark ran off to go save people's lives because he found out about the deaths on the news.
Yeah, they announced it, and then he was like, "Oh shit, that guy's with Chloe. Better go save her."
And he forgets as well, because Chloe, after being saved, is like, "Hey, I didn't do this intentionally to, mess up your date with Lana." He's like, "Hello, Clark, Lana," and then he goes to get her, and she's already left with Whitney. And
fair enough, you just left her.
And then we end in this really awkward point of, like, him, like, trying to ask her out again. And, like, so that was not a date. They've said repeatedly this was not a date, this thing they just did. And then he awkwardly goes, "Maybe we should try again. Maybe Saturday." Like, yeah, because this doesn't sound like you're trying to ask her out on a date a second time.
No, that's the thing. The first one, it's like, "Oh, hey, I've got these tickets. Shall we go?" Mm-hmm. Or this is, "Let's do something on Saturday night."
Yeah. This is specifically date stuff.
Yeah, like the first one is, "Oh, it's a concert. There's plans." It's like, okay, there's something there. This is just going, let's go out.
And she's like, "Oh no, Whitney's taking me to Metropolis," because that's what he was going to do at the start of the episode. And Whitney, of course, is trying to be a good boyfriend now because Lana, tried to. No, just she.
You know for a fact that's the real reason she went with Clark, is so that when she told Whitney that she was going with Clark, Whitney will be like, "Well, shit, guess I better do something then," and then she won't get blown off for a trip to the museum next time.
Yeah, she got blown off because him and the guys wanted to watch a fight on pay-per-view. That was the reason.
Seems pretty relatable.
I don't know. I've never watched a fight in pay-per-view in my life.
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily that exactly, but the idea of, oh, actually, there's something, scheduled that is only on tonight.
Oh, sure. I mean, this is something that movies and TV do a lot, and it's usually the dumb boyfriend, getting in trouble with the girl, but I feel like I never forget if I'd scheduled a trip, like a day trip,
yeah,
I would never forget that. Like, I've never done anything like that. But movies and TV, they always have the boyfriend be this asshole who's like, "Oh, I completely forgot we had that entire thing planned." Don't get me wrong, it's okay if it was just, "Oh, maybe we said we'd go do, like, dinner or something that night. We'd go to this restaurant that night," but it wasn't like a set in stone thing. Yeah, sure, I'd forget stuff like that all the time. But this is like, no, we planned a day trip.
Yeah. I at least buy it as plausible in the sense that, okay, you didn't have to buy tickets or anything. It would be like, "Oh, well, we can just go the next day and it's no big deal."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get it in that sense of, in the same way that you're going, "Oh, yeah, we plan to go to this restaurant." I mean, it's a bit of a drive for them to Metropolis, I assume. Don't know exactly how far, but
I think they set up as like a, it's like one of those. It's like if you live near a city, it's like a train trip to the city kind of thing.
Yeah, they can clearly get there reasonably easily.
I'd say it feels like an hour's drive or something like that, maybe 2 hours drive.
Sure. So it's a bit of a drive out, but ultimately, well, we could go tomorrow.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's one of those tropes in TV and movies where the guy will forget. Like, it's the same with forgetting the birthday or the anniversary. Like, I never forget those things. Just
no, that's fair. You might not necessarily realize what day it is.
Oh, in advance, sure, but like as we get close to it, like like I never forget when it is. Like it's just I don't know.
I mean, you say that I forgot my own birthday like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I've never done that.
It got to the day before, and my girlfriend was like, "So where do you want to go tomorrow for your birthday?" I was like, "Oh shit, it's my birthday tomorrow." I could completely forgotten.
Is that just you laying groundwork in case you forget her birthday? You can be like, "Hey, I forgot my own."
I genuinely forgot like my own. Like she was like, "So where do you want to go out for dinner?" Because I was like, "Oh, we're going out for dinner tomorrow." She's like, "Yeah, it's your birthday." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a thing." Look, the point I'm making is though, it's just one of these tropes that bug me because I never forget these things, and like I don't know. No.
That seemed particularly glaring. This one, it was just like, oh, we'd had all these plans, and he just completely forgot. It was whatever, but
yeah.
And then that led to...
Still not as bad as Clark forgetting about Lana.
Oh god, I know.
Like 5 minutes after he left her.
I don't even... Oh god. Let's not forget as well, Clark inadvertently kills the bad guy as well in this one.
Yeah. Although I don't think he's weakened by kryptonite in this one, is he?
No, you may be right. That's maybe the first one where there's
I don't think he is.
Yeah, there's not a scene of him being hurt by kryptonite. That's a good point.
So props for that, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Like,
I mean,
have a point.
It's not necessarily good, but that is improvement. That is tangibly better than it was before on that particular issue.
On that particular issue, the Clark and Lana stuff's the worst it's ever been. But yeah, on that particular issue.
On that particular issue, I'm not defending anything else in the episode, but just that specific point.
Yeah. What's Whitney done since this? I feel like I've never seen him in anything else.
I don't think I've ever seen him in anything else either. No.
It was in The Nick. Did you ever watch The Nick?
I didn't. No.
What else has he been in? Oh, he's in a few episodes of Orphan Black.
I've not watched any of that either.
Might see that at some point. So I might see him in some.
Yeah. Anything else interesting?
Oh, apparently he was Flash Gordon in the new Flash Gordon show that lasted one season.
Oh yeah, that was a thing.
I don't know. Well, we know what Chloe's doing. She's in a sex cult. So.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. She's not running a sex. She's not in a sex cult. She's running a sex cult.
She is a sex cult.
She is the sex cult. I'll give one-line props when Clark's telling Chloe and Pete about the date and about the tickets and all that. Chloe says, "Oh, I'm assuming someone who was follically challenged was responsible for these tickets." I thought that was a funny line. I'll give
Although, and now to give a line against Chloe, she's the one with the cringy Superman reference this week.
Oh god, yeah, at the start of the party.
Yeah, the start, and she's like, "Oh, it's cold, it's freezing," because it's clearly in the middle of winter and everyone's cold.
Yeah.
And Clark's like, "Oh no, I'm fine," because he's a dick. That's a hint. Oh, give her your jacket. Clearly. And she's like, what are you from an ice planet? Ugh.
Yeah, no one would ever say that. That is such a forced line of dialogue.
Ugh. Chloe, I liked you. Why are you saying these things?
He doesn't even know he's from an ice planet.
I know. Ugh.
Oh god, no, really clunky. Did not like that at all. Especially that she actually ends up with his jacket at the end of the episode. Like after he rescues her from the pool. Yeah. She's actually got his jacket on. And I'm like, oh now she's got the jacket on.
So she wanted it all along, clearly.
Yeah, that was the ploy. She was the mastermind in this episode. It was all just to get his jacket.
Yeah.
She planted the kryptonite to turn the guy into the cold villain.
Let's be honest, Chloe's probably the best part of this episode.
I mean, our plot's kind of shit, but she's okay.
Plot's shit, but she's okay. You know, she has the bit where she calls Clark and Pete out on just being shitty friends.
Oh no, I did like that scene. That's a good point. Where they're basically using her for girl advice, but that's all she is. Like, and she's been pumped for information. She's like, "Hey, treat me better, both of you." Like that was a nice scene. Yeah, that was well done.
Yeah. So you know, bits like that mean that she's probably the best part of the episode.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. Shall we move on? I think we should.
Please.